I guess I have some observations because I know questions are not answered by this board. It's fairly certain to say that this sale is going to happen based on the history in front of the board. I'm sorry to see that we've come to the point where we now have to sell Runnells. Obviously we're here because of the county mismanagement. Two questions. What special and specific qualifications does the UCIA, UCUA have that would lead them to have the expertise to effect such a large and historic sale of county assets? It's come to my attention in the last couple of weeks that the director of the UCIA, UCUA can't even do the due diligence to balance their checkbook to make sure inappropriate allocations are not funneled to members that are not deserving. My first observation. My second observation, it's troubled me since day one that when the discussion started about possibly selling Runnells. The county funds Runnells Hospital to a deficit of approximately $13 million a year. I've always wondered how it would be possible for a buyer of the hospital, and it's not been demonstrated whether it's going to be run as a profit or non-profit entity. So we'll have to wait to see what happens there. But if this $13 million deficit funding that the county's been doing for God knows how long, how a purchaser is going to be able to absorb that kind of deficit funding into their budget in order to be able to run that hospital at even a break even. So I then question, why have we been spending? Where is that $13 million been going? If a private entity can now come in, afford the patients there the same care that we have been giving them since it's been taken over by the county, and absorb the $13 million deficit. So why have we been spending $13 million all along? It seems like it wasn't necessary. Could it have been just pensions or patronage jobs, things of that nature? That's an observation.
I have one question. Why didn't someone from the Union County Improvement Authority do tonight's presentation? Thank you.
41. If that person from the Ukraine is still here, wants to know how we work in America. It's pretty well. This is how we work in Union County. The decision is done, and you're taking a bullet. And the study, the Union County Improvement Authorities, they did the same thing with golf. The CODIS, and that's a very, you go on Route 138 to see 138 on the Parkway, there's a $25 million they dumped into that thing. But, it's already a done deal, and all the numbers, you saw the presentation, and those were the numbers that were reported to them. Now, there are other numbers that are fairly easy to get, and maybe Mr. Gross, who's here, can mention that. From my experience, there's not a lot of union activity in nursing home employee employment. I don't think there are a lot of unions involved there. If they were to check, if anybody, I'd be stunned if there was a union in the nursing home. That's privately operated. That's how they make their money. There's also the benefits, and that'd be easy to check too. The county has a defined benefit plan. It's a New Jersey plan, so it's going bust, but that's another matter. Most nursing homes have fairly dinky 401k plans. And I say dinky is you have to contribute or they won't match, and they've got these safe harbor things. They really, it's practically nothing. And those are a couple of things that might be of interest to the people in this room. but they weren't in the presentation, and they'll never be, because they already decided, and they'll just get you a lot madder. If you are lucky enough to stay at Runnells and get hired by these new people, your benefits and pay package will probably be cut like 40%. That's how they're going to make it. And that's an honest study. I mean, that's really something you should be told going into here.
41. And I have a lot of questions, and I probably run out there a lot. But just reiterating what Jim Bittner brought up. I mean, obviously you're going to sell the building, which oddly enough cost $32 million 14 years ago, and now you're selling it for 24, 26 million. 14 years later, there's no there's no appreciation of cost. I mean, something's wrong there. I don't know if somebody can explain that one, but anyway, Jim Bittner brings up the fact about operating costs, and that we, as a county, are actually getting a higher reimbursement versus the private sector that owns the hospitals or the acute care facilities. And the difference is about $22 million. So that does bring up a good question. Why are we losing $13 million on this when private enterprise wants to take a flyer on this and spend the $24, $26 million, whatever the cost is, take a large debt of, who knows what it is, just $20 million to throw it out, where you're only sitting on $6 million, and yet be able to be functional and not lose $13 million. I think seriously, in these negotiations, you better sit down with these people and pretend that you're listening to them and actually ask them, what are you doing that's going to be able to make this a viable facility? Then at the end you say, well, we changed our mind, and then institute what they're going to tell you. I mean, it's now in public, and it's unfortunate. But obviously you guys, like I've come up here so many times, you're just complete failures when it comes to cost. This is just another one. You're compromising a lot of people's salaries, vocations, future, because of your failures at finance. Another question is, and I'll ask another time, but Runnells Realty LLC, who the heck are they? They own 7 facilities. I've never heard of them. That seems to be like a sham company fronting for somebody else. I'd really like to know who that is. The UCIA, Jim Bittner brought that up. Just what makes them so special that they're the ones going to be doing this negotiation? They have the director and the 2 people are being investigated for criminal stipends, funneling money to themselves behind closed doors. They shouldn't even be involved. Right now, they should not be involved. And so if they have no idea what they're doing, who's the one that's actually going to be doing the negotiation, and how much is that going to cost? How are we going to transfer that money? If it is sold, how are we going to transfer that money? Is it going to go through the UCIA, and maybe they'll take a fee, and then it'll come to the county, and then you guys better transfer the money directly to the town, not offset taxes, because all that's doing is making you feel good. Well, the county has their own problems with the taxes. The money should go directly to the town. Tina Renna brings up 13 people were transferred. I think the salaries were a total of $1 million. Guzzo, she asked Director Guzzo, please explain. The public does want to hear just what it is. And another thing, taxes. The poor guys in Regency had to guess at the taxes. What are you guys, idiots? You're supposed to at least give an idea so we can basically bid properly.
You're out of order.
I'm not out of order. You guys are actually out of order. I'm not going to pretend it's a movie, but you guys are out of order. You don't even know what you're doing, and that's sad, because a lot of people are going to be hurt.